I wish it was Christmas today. I wish it was Christmas today. Every day is a Christmas day. Top 5 things, come what may. Reviews, movies, and festive cheer. Join the fun, Christmas is here. It's Christmas every day.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome to Christmas Every Day. This is the podcast that keeps the spirit of Christmas alive all year long. Now, my name is Troy, and I'm your host. Now, listen, if this is your first time listening, really appreciate you checking us out. We want you to know we do this all year long. This isn't something that we just pick up in September and go through, New Year's. We do this all year long. And, we release a new episode every Friday. So, Christmas never really has to end. We're always putting out new episodes every week. Well, almost every week. And if you're a repeat listener, thanks so much for coming back and checking us out again. Really appreciate that. I want to give everybody a little disclaimer right here. I've got a crazy puppy running through our house right now. We have a new puppy. We got her a month ago or so, and she was 13 weeks old at that time. So she's about 17 weeks, 18 weeks old right now. And she's the cutest little thing you ever saw in your life, but she is all puppy. So if she decides to run back here into my studio, then not going to be much I can do about that one, because she sounds like a small horse running through our house. She's a mix. She's called an Irish Doodle. She's an Irish setter mixed with a standard poodle. So we're kind of wondering what she's going to look like. She's cute as anything right now, but oh my gosh, she's going to be big, and she's a wild card. I'm telling you, she's a wild thing. So anyway, just throwing out a little disclaimer. If you hear some like Clydesdales in the back, it's not a Budweiser commercial. It's our little dog. So anyway, today is Friday, February 13th, and that just can't be a very good sign. I'm not a superstitious person by any means, but let's just go ahead and get today out of the way. But we're going to start off with a listener email today because it's a really good one. So Carissa from Sioux Falls, South Dakota writes, quote, "Happy holiday." It's not happy holidays, it's happy holiday. I guess like the Andy Williams song. So just found your podcast, and my husband and I went back and listened to the Naughty List episodes, and we both had a big laugh over all of those. I have to hold it against you a little for putting pumpkin spice on the first episode, on the first episode, because I love my pumpkin spice lattes, but I'm not too mad about it. You asked several episodes ago how everyone's Christmas was. What's wrong with me? I can't talk. And I wanted to tell you about our excursion. We drove from Sioux Falls to Leavenworth, Washington, and it was amazing. We went to the Village of Lights, the Christkindl Market, and even did a horse-drawn sleigh ride. It was a great trip. Our children are grown, so it was just my husband and I that went, and we met a few friends who live in California there. What an awesome experience. Merry Christmas. Carissa, that sounds awesome. That sounds like an amazing experience. And Leavenworth is totally on my Christmas bucket list of places to go see at the holidays. It's close to the top on my Christmas bucket list. So I'm glad you had a great time. Thanks for the email. I'm super jealous that you got to go. Like, I'm wicked jealous that you got to do that. So again, thanks for the email. And speaking of emails, I got one from my brother, Jeff. He wanted to let everybody know what's going on around his neck of the woods. And he was gracious enough to send us an email and let us know what's going on.
Troy, thanks for asking. We're doing great down here in sunny South Florida. I like to call the equator. We're getting some really good weather down here. We're going to be up in the high 70s again this weekend. So everything's looking really nice. Not much feel of Christmas around here. Not a lot of Christmas spirit going on around here. Everybody's back to work. And I wanted to talk to you about that, Troy, real quick. It is February, and everybody's back to work. Everybody's back to school, and we're not doing any shopping anymore. We're not looking at Christmas lights anymore, and things have kind of settled down a little bit. Troy, can you really talk about Christmas all year? Is there really that much Christmas to talk about over the course of the year? Can you really listen to, Christmas music all year? I mean, it seems like, you would want to listen to something else or something different or something like that. I mean, it's not like the Christmas spirit's just going to jump up and grab you and all of a sudden I'm in the Christmas spirit and everything. I mean, come on now, Troy. What was that? Huh. All of a sudden I feel like singing.
so the old Christmas spirit isn't going to just come right up and get you, huh? Look, it'll hit you out of nowhere. It'll just get you out of nowhere. It sounds like Jeff got smacked upside the head with a little bit of the Christmas spirit. See, that's what happens when you start talking that stuff, and the next thing you know, you're singing Bing Crosby to your Scrooge wife. I love Nicole, don't get me wrong. But anyway, look, who says you can't have Christmas every day? Jeff just got hit with it in February. But you know what? Jeff does make a good point. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do a year-round Christmas podcast. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm not always in a Christmassy mood all year long. I like warmer weather a lot of the times. I listen to a ton of music that isn't Christmas music. And I love watching movies and YouTube videos that aren't related to Christmas at all. So, there are plenty of days where I don't have any thoughts or feelings that are related to Christmas. But I've noticed something in doing this podcast, and it's that by doing the research that I do and listening to the music that I listen to for this, and, getting the emails from our listeners, it puts me in the Christmas spirit. It really does, even if it's just for a little while. So if I'm trying to figure out what the Christmas carol of the week would be, and, I'm listening to different songs, it just makes me feel better. If I decide to watch a Christmas movie that I've never seen before, it makes me feel better for a few hours. At least if it's a decent movie. But I think the bare essence of what most everybody likes about Christmas is that it just makes people feel better. So yeah, I don't necessarily do this podcast because I'm all about Christmas 24/7, but because the quote unquote work, that I put into it, it makes me feel good while I'm doing it. And, that's one of the reasons why I've said many times over that, if anybody listening out there is thinking about doing a Christmas podcast, do it. You know what? The worst case scenario is that it'll make you feel better for, a couple of hours while you're putting it together. And in all honesty, the world just needs more Christmas podcasts. It really does. There is a shortage of Christmas podcasts, especially the ones that go year round. There are a ton of them that pop up. They'll do like an episode every 3 months or whatever. Hey, don't forget about us. And then when, the holiday season rolls around, that's when they just, blow everything out of the water. And that's totally cool. That's totally cool. I understand why they would want to do that. Doing a podcast all year long, it's a lot of work, especially with a subject that's as seasonal as Christmas is. That's why I will never, ever make any money off of this podcast, is because it's such a seasonal thing. There's not enough of a demand for anybody to make a living off of it. But the world does need more Christmas podcasts. So I always say, if you're thinking about doing one, just, do it. Give me a shout. ChristmasEverydayShow@gmail.com. I'm not the best podcaster in the world, but I've been doing this for about 8 months now. I've got a ton of great listeners. And if you need some help getting it off the ground, I'll be happy to help. I know there are several resources that we can get you pointed to. So anyway, just something to think about. And one final piece of housekeeping, we do have a new reaction video out on the Christmas Everyday YouTube channel. It's for a song called Christmas Magic by an artist called Leve. I'm not going to give away whether I liked it or not, but I will give you a small hint. I liked it. So I've put a link to the video in the show notes. You can go, please check that out. Especially if you've never heard it. This is a song you might want to listen to if you're looking for new Christmas music. Christmas Magic by Leve. And the link is in the show notes. So now I think it's probably time for the countdown.
Santa's coming to town! Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him! I know him!
Okay, so it is only 315 days until Christmas. Look, just 2 more weeks until we're under 300 days. But I've got to tell you, it really seems like it's been a lot more than 50 days since Christmas. But you know what? Check this out. Today is exactly 200 days until September 1st. And you all know what that means. And that's when it starts getting really good. So listen, I enjoyed last week's poem reading so much that I decided that I wanted to read something else this week. And, this short story really, I found this actually just yesterday. And let me turn this music off real quick because we're about to move. Okay, I think y'all know where we're going. But this short story, it just really embodies how we feel about Christmas around the Christmas Everyday household. Now, this is called The Last Light on Maple Street. And I think we should go check this out. You know where we're going. We're going down by the fire. Okay, so let's check out the story. The Last Light on Maple Street. On Maple Street, the last Christmas light to come down each year belonged to Mrs. Adler. I'm very sorry. It's Mrs. Alder. Every January, when the wreaths disappeared and the inflatable snowman deflated into polite puddles of vinyl, Mrs. Alder's single strand of warm lights still traced the outline of her small front porch. No one complained. It was just there. Tom Blevins, who lived across the street, noticed it most. He worked nights at the hospital and came home just before dawn. By the time he parked his car and shut off the engine, the world was that quiet blue that only exists between exhaustion and sunrise. And there it was, that small, steady glow. Tom had never met Mrs. Alder properly. They had performed the suburban nod 100 times. Once, during a summer thunderstorm, he'd helped her drag her trash bin back up from the curb. She had thanked him with a voice that sounded like tissue paper, thin but careful. On February 3rd, the lights were still on. By March, crocuses pushed up through the frost, and still the lights burned gently against the porch rail. One morning, as Tom stood watching them from his car, he realized something. They weren't festive anymore. They weren't Christmas. They were company. That evening, technically morning for him, he crossed Maple Street. Mrs. Alder answered the door after a long moment. She wore a thick cardigan and held a mug with both hands. "I hope you don't mind me asking," Tom said, nodding toward the light. "But I've come to depend on those." She looked past him at the strand glowing against the gray dawn. "Oh," she said softly, "my husband used to put them up. He always said the porch shouldn't ever look unwelcoming." Tom didn't know what to say to that. "He passed in December," she continued. "I meant to take them down. I just haven't yet." The silence between them was not awkward. It felt like shared understanding, standing on its tiptoes. "Well," Tom said finally, "I work nights. When I get home, it's dark and cold, and the whole street looks asleep, but your lights are on, and I think someone else is awake in the world." Mrs. Alder's mouth trembled into something like a smile. The next week, a second strand of lights appeared across Tom's own porch railing. Nothing flashy, just warm white. By April, 3 more houses had joined in. No one coordinated it. No one discussed it. The lights simply stayed. They weren't bright enough to chase away the night. They weren't meant to. They were just enough to say, "You're not the only one awake. You're not the only one remembering. You're not alone in the cold." On Maple Street, Christmas didn't end. It just softened. And maybe that's the kind of Christmas worth keeping every day. Isn't that great? Especially down by the fire. I read that several times over, and it just kind of talked to me. I'm the guy. Look, I've got Christmas lights up right now. It's February 13th. So yeah, this episode just really talked to me, and I love people that leave lights up all year long. I just love it. So I thought that was a great story. Very heartwarming. But I think we're going to end the episode on that note. I think we're just going to leave it there. What a great story. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week. Again, thank you so much for checking in with us. Really appreciate that. If you want to get to know a little bit more about starting a Christmas podcast, ChristmasEverydayShow@gmail.com. I'm telling you now, there's not enough people doing it. The world needs more. Okay? That's going to do it. Until next week, everybody, Merry Christmas.